The Image You See, Losing the Race, Self-Sabotaging Black America is a book written by John McWhorter, who talks about a lot of the ills that are going on in the black community. Today I'm going to share with you some of the things Marcus Garvey said during his time here on earth. And as we know, Marcus Garvey was around in the early 20th century. The man without a business of his own or without training and performing a particular work is always at a disadvantage in making a living. Great wealth is made out of commerce and industry. The fault with the Negro in business, commercial or industrial, has been his inability to appreciate starting at a given point and climbing steadily, while other races have been willing to start from the lowest down to climb higher up. The Negro has always desired to start from the top, hence, he comes down. No success ever came from the top, it is always from the bottom up. He will never be an industrial or commercial factor until he has learned the principles of commercial and industrial success, and these principles are as much open to him as to anybody else. Find a particular kind of business that you would like to engage yourself in because you can make it profitable, and start with whatever capital you have. Find out what your neighbors want most and are willing to buy, and then start selling it to them. If not in the shop, by going from door to door. Now we have to understand Marcus Garvey lived in the early 20th century, so door to door was a popular thing then. We have internet access now. If your capital is larger, your opportunities become larger and easier. But no Negro needs sit down at his doorstep and mourn his bad luck if he has 25 cents in his pocket to start a business. If you invest your 25 cents wisely at 9 o'clock in the morning, by 6 o'clock in the evening you may have 50 cents. If the Negro is going to look at Marshall Field in Chicago, or Sears Roebuck and Company, and John Wanamaker in Philadelphia, or Gordon Selfridge in London, and say, I want to start like that, the dreamer would never start, because nothing starts that way. And just when we talk about Marshall Field, he was part of a group of businessmen who lost their businesses in a fire when they first started years ago. And he and all the other businessmen got together and decided should they go and try to do something else somewhere else. And he was the only one that decided to rebuild, and we see what we have out of that. The Negro, to be employed then and to be his own employee, must have his independent farms, stores, factories, and mills. But he must start them as the white man did, growing from the little single room of industry to the mighty factory on the hillside of the plain. No one goes into business just for fun or pleasure, but for profit and results. Study all the possible means of making profit and getting good results out of the business in which you ought to engage yourself. A democracy is the safest kind of government to live under for persons or individual initiative who desire to go into business. Now, I have to stop right there because that's the problem in America today. Most people think we live in a democracy. We actually live in a republic. And our system of economics here is capitalism. So just want to clear that up. The man who wants to go into business commercially, industrially, or agriculturally and win a fortune for himself to achieve the things he must aim at cannot and should be a communist, because communism robs the individual of his personal initiative and ambition or the result thereof. And what we don't understand, we have a lot of people now who are trying to lead us into communism through small doses of socialism. And socialism, and the difference between socialism and communism, in socialism, people still own the business, but government controls. In communism, government controls the business and the people. So just so y'all know the difference there. Democracy, therefore, is the kind of government that offers the individual the opportunity to rise from labor to the status of a capitalist or employer. And we do have to understand the context he's meaning democracy. He's basically saying equal opportunity for all. The Negro must be up and doing if he will break down the prejudice of the rest of the world. We must strike out for ourselves in the course of material achievement, and by our own effort and energy present to the world those forces by which the progress of the man is judged. Whatsoever you want in life, you must make up your mind to do it for yourself and accomplish it for yourself. And then God will bless the effort, because he will realize that you're using your intelligence for the best. And I just like to reiterate that. We have to make up our minds to do it for ourselves. And we have to go out and do it ourselves. And we have to rely upon God to bless those efforts. We need to stop listening to people saying, the rich are not paying their fair share. Rich people didn't become rich by being stupid. And so when you look at punishing rich people, and a lot of these people own business, when you tax the rich corporations and people more, The rich people are not going to pay the taxes. You are. You're going to pay one way or another. You're going to pay because if higher regulations and taxes come down, they're going to fire you. Or if they decide to keep you on, they're going to raise the price of their goods and services, which is going to be passed on to the consumer. So you have to think about these things. So we need to be thinking about business ownership. The reason we're all for this taxing the rich is because too many of us are not seeking out the means to become richer. And it amazes me that people who always talk about others have too much money never turn down a raise on the job. They never turn down a promotion on the job. They try to make all the money they can, and they try to get all they can, and then they want to put their money in the can and sit on the can. So we need to stop this class envy of one another. Be proud, because success anywhere is success everywhere. Stop being envious of what others have went out and accomplished. These people worked hard. Now, you do have some people that went outside the system and did some crooked things. Yeah, but that's a small minority. A lot of these people worked hard to accomplish their wealth and riches. And there are a lot of them out there who've done it the right way. They haven't abused or used people in the process. So you don't have to look at businessmen or women as bad people. Bad people come in all income levels.